Hey, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. It's Ali, your favorite eccentric SLO-mad, y'all. And today we are semi-talking travel, but we're also going to I'm going to dip my toe into this Asian conversation that has really perked up in the last week, given what is happening, or what happened in the US, or what has been happening. And weigh in because my perspective is slightly different given that I currently live in Asia. I live in Thailand right now, and there's conversations about what's happening there. Then there's the mass exodus of people, especially in the Black community, coming and desiring to live in Asia. So there seems to be like this huge conflict, or wait a minute, I thought you didn't like, I thought they didn't like, I thought, so why are you going there? So let's put it all out on the table, y'all. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today on this live video. I know it's a little early in the morning, but it's afternoon for me. So if you guys are new to my channel, or old, thank you for coming back. Sawadika, first of all, and Kampoka for coming back. If you are new and you're interested in travel stuff, which is what my channel is about, is my move abroad almost 6 years ago, and just my daily life living in different countries over the last 6 years, and adding in some real life conversations, because everything can't simply be just, peaches and roses and cherries and rose water, spritzes and fantastic spa days and stuff. That's not reality. That's not reality. So if you're into those kinds of things and having a touch of, realistic situations that are happening, please click the subscribe button and notification bell and leave me a comment. What I'd also like to make sure you guys do is, if for any reason you can't hear me, I got my mic on today, but I do have AC on. I do have a fan on. It's hot and the door is open too, but that's a whole nother thing. So I am currently in the city of Bangkok, Thailand, and this is technically my base, my Thailand base right now. A couple years ago, my base was in Vietnam. But let me go back a few years, because I know there's a lot that we want to possibly jump in and talk about with the Cyrus unaliving, and all of the other relations, should we call it that are happening in the States. Hey, you guys. I live here. I live abroad full time, and Asia is one of the places that I actually love. So that's what we're going to be talking about. I felt like, I'm doing a disservice here by not, jumping in on this conversation, because my Asian kind of, my break into the Asian border, started, y'all, back in 2017. I want to say 2017, because I'd been traveling so much before. Well, a little bit before. 2017 was probably my break into the Asian scene. That was even before I went to Indonesia, where I've been to Indonesia twice. But my break into the Asian scene, which is why my perspective is so much more vast, and I have such a varying experience. 2017 into China. I went to Beijing, I went to Shenzhen, I went to Macau, and I went to Hong Kong. And I have stories. I have situations. I, had my reservations, my concerns, my thoughts. In the States, I am a Midwesterner by birth and life, and then moved to Texas. So I'm Midwest and Mid-South. I guess Texas is Mid-South. So that's where I laid my head for most of my life, until I decided that I was leaving the country, which I always knew I was going to do. So anyway, let's talk about China. I'm going to get back to my China spiel. And so when I went to China, it was actually, I went with family to China. And I'm actually planning on going to China either this year or next year because I still have a visa. If you want to talk about visas and stuff like that, please hit me up because this is my world. This is what I know. Having been to over 51 countries, I kind of know the ins and outs. Things are forever changing, but I do know quite a bit about being in different places and you know, the experience of the differences, the similarities, but the differences of going to different countries. Yes, I am pretty busy. Thank you. But also, I'm living regular life. So I don't live like a tourist. And one of my recommendations for my clients, and just when I'm talking with you guys, is if you are planning to go to a place to relocate. Now, I don't mean when you first go there and, you know, like if you've been and you're like, oh my God, I could stay forever. Okay, that's a trip. You need to come back and do this number one thing. Do not do any touristy things in an area that you plan on living full time. And there's a reason for that. If you're interested in that, type relocate in the comments and I'll share some more tips on that in another video. How do you earn? And hi, Yali, you got a story. I got so many stories to tell. Wait, is that Tate? Is that Tate? What you doing up at 3 a.m? How do I earn? So multiple streams of income. Yeah, I just ate some peanuts. I don't know if I got like peanut shells skin on my teeth. But the multiple streams of income thing is real. It's a real thing. There's so much I want to share. Most of what we learn in the US around not just survival, but how to live and how to make money and all those things are similar around the world, but the view and what's important oftentimes changes depending on what you're here for, what you're doing, you know, where your mindset is. And at the ripe age of 54, my mindset is completely different than it was when I was hustling, when I was in the grind. I was team no sleep, which is true fallacy. Don't fall into it if you in it. But how I make money is now travel consultation. I basically use my life. I do things that I love in my life and work to generate income that way. So one of the ways is travel consultation, meaning consult people on relocating or simply traveling to a place. Various clients looking to go to different places that most places I've either been to because there are a handful of places that everybody wants to go and visit. So I advise on everything from booking, suggestions, where to stay, visas. Remember, get your visas in different places where we don't need visas, stuff like that. Things to look out for, realistic situations, and solo traveling, specifically for women, and what to expect from a high level perspective in solo traveling. In addition to that, investments. I was a bigger investor than I thought I was, and made a lot of good decisions over the years that afforded me this ability to be out here for the past 6 years, living rather comfortably. So yeah, if you guys need consultation, because it's an ongoing thing, I am not like a millionaire set and don't ever have to work again. I do need to continue to earn. So if you are looking to relocate and or just travel, you're looking to take your first trip to Asia, Thailand. And I've been coming to Thailand, y'all, since 2019. I've been here every year, and now I have my 5-year visa. So now I can stay for extended periods of time. 6 months, leave, pop back in. So it can end up being a year with a few days in between. But I can explain all that as well. So, hey, the girl who ate your shoes. That's interesting name. So, my first experience was coming to Asia years ago, back in 2017. I say years ago because it's almost been 10 years, y'all. That's wild, right? My 10-year visa is about to expire next year. That's how long it's been. And I had a great experience. And I can honestly tell you, I was not necessarily expecting to have a great experience. I was expecting the Asian relationship that I've experienced in the United States. And I have said this a million times before. You want to experience people, because I say this about European people as well and about African people as well, other continents, right? And I consider Australia European in terms of where the people come from, right? Y'all get mad at me if you want to, but you understand what I'm saying. Like if I group people. And so there's nuances to people who are origin/Americans versus people who are just origin, i.e., been in Asia, maybe never lived in the States and or lived in the States and or lived in Europe. There's a lot more movement around these parts. It's a lot more fluid across countries when you're outside of the US or outside of the Americas in general. So once you actually come over to this side of the world, you'll realize from Europe all the way over how much people move in and out, around and about on a regular basis, something that we just don't experience in the US. And I got reasons for that, but we're not going to get into that today because the United States is a huge, huge place. But in my travels, and I'm going to skip because I wish I could travel a lot too. Bad, I have a fear of planes. Oh no. That is too bad. That sucks. I don't even know how to respond. I was about to say, ooh. My face usually says everything. I'll be like, oh, but my face will be like, oh, that sucks. Like, I'm glad I don't have that issue. And that really does suck. You could travel in other ways in the Americas because you can, get a car. You can also consider cruise travel and do one-way cruises to get to different places in the world. I mean, it's possible. There is a ship, I think, that goes from Denmark-ish, Scotland, UK area, somewhere to New York. I'm just putting it out there. Google will tell you a whole lot of things that could at least just open your mind to the possibilities. And that's what I'm here for. I share possibilities. I help you turn dreams into experiences, right? And so anyway, I've been coming to Asia for quite some time. My experience, like I said, in 2017 really painted a different picture for me. I was talking about the differences, just pointing out the differences between people who are Asian American, European American, and, versus when you go to Europe and you meet Europeans. Versus when you go to Asia and you're living in Asia and you're around Asians all the time. And that comparison to being in the United States. Y'all, it's when I say apples to nuts, I mean, we're not even in the same food category. It's so different. And I know there is a true fear. There is a true concern, especially from the Black community. Why? Because that was if you guys look up history, you understand when civil rights movement passed in the 60s, there was about 1 million, maybe, Asian people living in the United States. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for Asians to come over, especially with all the things that had happened in the past, Hiroshima, all the other things, the relationships, the situations that we've had, China blowing up after the Mao dynasty era, and just all of these things, right? All of those things happening on that storefront, and the feeling of it's going to be just as bad there and maybe even worse. But I came over because somebody else was coming over, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go. This is a great opportunity to go, you guys. And I was so surprised. I was so shocked. Yes, as Black people, we historically, let me go back. So I was going to say historically, there weren't very many Asians, just from a global perspective of all of Asia living in the United States, living, not just going to school on school visas and stuff like that, until after civil rights, which my people spearheaded. Let's cut the crap. My people spearheaded, pushed through, which opened the doors for everybody. And the Asian American group has grown like 1,500%. I mean, it's a stat. That's literally one of the stats. The numbers were exponential, y'all. But what happened? Asian Americans or Asians who came over didn't get their own community. They have them now. Yeah, we got Chinatowns and little villages, this and that, whatever. We have that. We have that now, but that's not how it started. Where did they put Asians to begin with? In the Black communities. What happened when we say, oh, these people came over as immigrants and pulled themselves up? No, they were allowed to get loans, open restaurants. What Korean learned how to fry chicken and it wasn't from a GI? What Vietnamese learned? If you talk to real people, they will tell you, yes, that's where it came from. They will give honor and homage most of the times in the actual countries. When you go to, they will literally say, yes. Yes, it's because we learned it from the Black culture. Now you have these other excerpts like K-pop, and some of these other groups who literally, they kind of shy away from giving props to where they copy from. And that is where a lot of the strife and the anguish and angst comes from, right? It's because we are very open. We are open arms and everything. But the government purposely put people in a community, said hateful, spiteful things about people, to get people to be so fearful and afraid and all this, and put them in a position where everything that we do and get, we receive, we can only go to their establishments. Do history lesson, y'all. Don't even base it off of me. I need to run through this because there is a reason for the angst that you see between our community or within our community when it comes to Asian Americans. And then you have an Asian American who does something and gets off. So it's one of those things where it's like we're still sitting in 2026 in a completely unbalanced reality. Completely imbalanced. So the game is still being played, and then we still have people, y'all use the term gaslighting now, running amok, acting a fool, acting like they don't know, brand new, whatever. Like this stuff never existed. Like you don't know how you got here. Like you don't know who paved the way, right? So we have all of that stuff happening in the US. And it's not just with Asians, it's with everybody. The government did that with all Africans that came over, because this is why we have everybody thinks that Africans and African Americans hate each other. But why is it when we go to Africa, it's nothing but love? Like literally, y'all. You know how much time I spend in Africa? Go to Europe. And you sit there and you're like, wait a minute. So now I know one of the things that we don't talk about, or people talk about and actually try to put only on the US is, oh, there's only racism over. No, it's everywhere. Trust me. And it's coming. It's unfolding. The veil is coming off. And I love it. I love that the veil is coming off, regardless of how much strife and uncomfortable people are. Because guess what? All my life, I had to at least keep one eye in the corner open. I had to be watching myself all the time. I did good things. I worked my way up. I had to struggle. I fought. People say all the time, oh, Wally, I wish I could be you. No, you don't, because you don't know me. You don't know what my internal mental struggles have been. My entire life trying to make sure that I succeed, trying to make sure that I get to a point where I can do this and that, move around, but also be a Black woman that people look at, and a boisterous and open fairly freely spoken Black woman, knowing when I had to kind of push over to the side, use it a certain way, talk a certain. Listen, not to say that I still don't have to do those things. I do those things, but my experience, enrichment from traveling, especially here to Asia, opened that door, broadened my horizons, and helped me see things and people from the perspective that I want people to see me, right? And so knowing that that is possible, knowing that there's so, I'm gonna tell y'all, when I first really got into traveling, it was probably right after 2017. When I first really got into like moving and shaking and moving around and stuff, I literally, the one thing I said, y'all, was, damn, they've been lying to us all this time. And I'm gonna tell y'all, so one thing that Black people want the rest of the world and America to do is admit that you have been lied to about us all this time. That's the first thing that we would like for y'all to admit. The lies that you acknowledge, the lies, and that all of this stuff has set all of us back, right? I'm not going to get into all of that today. I want to talk about specifically the difference in the assumed relationship versus the reality of what you could potentially experience when you come abroad, especially to Asia and including China. Now, I know y'all have seen it. Y'all been all over social media, YouTubes, TikToks, everything. We're moving in droves, and we're doing it unapologetically, with fear. In fear, we're doing it. Some people is doing it even bigger. They bringing their entire family. They unpacked up 4 or 5 suitcases, doing pallets, shipping stuff over, relocating on faith. We talk about faith. We got people moving on faith. I have met, or not even, or heard of, been in same rooms with people who literally have just picked up shop. I met people in 2022 who had never traveled outside of the US and came to Thailand specifically to take a teaching course, a TEFL teaching course, and then were placed for an entire year in a local school in Thailand and had never really been out of this country outside of the US except for cruises, and did it for a year and was successful and could have stayed. I've seen people do it and love it, make some amazing Asian friends. And y'all know, if you know, and if you got some Asian friends, because I got people in Vietnam, I got people in Bali, my Bali family, my Thai family now. I ain't got no people in China, but I bet you if I go to China, I can get some people in China, because everybody is an auntie, trust me. And you got to understand the auntie thing, right? But I've made some really amazing connections in the time and space that I have been traveling and moving around, in Asia and Europe, and part of Europe is Asia, because when you get to Turkey, you in both. Just FYI, did y'all know that Russia is in Asia? Did you know? This is like the confusion of continents, right? Like, yeah, so it's connected. It's connected to China. So Russia's in Asia. So anyway, there's so much about why there is so much clashing in the US between the Asian community and the Black community. And it all starts with the fact that Asians, I'm going to delete you. I'll tell you what I do like to do. I do like the Black people. What was I saying? The relations between Asians and Black Americans, as I say, really kicked off where the disparity was being pushed back in the 60s. That was like the real push, right? we had the Vietnam War. Of course, we had Muhammad Ali and others, but specifically Muhammad making it very clear he wasn't going to fight no war, no brown country for some people that ain't done nothing to him. And we feel the same. But let me tell y'all something. Vietnamese people are amazing. Like, I made some of some of my the best people, and people that I made friends with the easiest, the quickest, was in Vietnam. Vietnam is, and I only went to Vietnam. That was on a whim from somebody that I met here in Thailand in 2022 that was like, oh yeah, you got to try out Vietnam. You'll never believe. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I went, and oh my God, I ended up staying 6 months, almost 6 months. But that was when we had only 30-day visas. And so I had to leave the country every, basically 3.5 weeks to re-up my visa, do a border run. And that, as much as I hated that, it afforded me the ability to sit in Malaysia. I went to Singapore, but only for a couple of days, like 2 or 3 times. I've been to Singapore probably 4 times now. Singapore, I went to South Korea. I never was going to South Korea. I mean, not never. I mean, I was, but I wasn't going. It wasn't like on my list. You know what I'm saying? And somebody was like, oh, you should go to South Korea. And I was like, why? Japan was on my list, but not really, because, you know, we hear Tokyo. And I was like, yeah, nah, I'm good. Oh my God, I loved it. I went to Tokyo. I went to Korea, South Korea. I've been to Bali twice. I've been to China. Like I said, Macau and Hong Kong. I haven't been to the Philippines yet. That is on my short list. Hopefully this year or next year, I can get to Philippines, and a couple of other places nestled in there. But I'm going to tell you guys, anywhere you go, you're going to run into situations where people are just like crappy. Anywhere. But I would say the most concern that I have when I travel, especially if I'm in Asia, is not with Asians. It's with the other foreigners that are here who try to carry on this false belief and narrative about Black people in general. And I will tell you, just like I'm grouping Asian, they group us too, right? Once someone gets to know you, they'll say, oh, you're not like, oh, you're whatever. And that can be offensive in and of itself, whatever the case may be. But I'm going to tell y'all 9 times out of 10, and you can ask pretty much, there's always going to be somebody who had a hard time. There's always going to be someone who didn't like the photographs, and people want to take pictures. And I wish I had, like, I wasn't going live and I would like pop some pictures on. Maybe I'll do like a collage. You guys subscribe and follow me, because I'm going to do like a little collage and show you my trip when I went to China. And the whole story I had with the ATM card and the bank and the guard that had the AK-47 or whatever. The whole story. Could tell you the whole king and caboodle. The rat in the alley when we was getting the noodles, best noodles I done had my entire life. I'm just saying, y'all, right? And the people just, I mean, like, so open and if you're not an a-hole, 9 times out of 10, most people won't be a-holes. In Thailand, I'm just going to paint a picture for you. So most of the buildings, most of them, if you're in like a high rise or something like that, they have a 24-hour security, all of them. Even though like the whole safety thing is almost non-existent. Almost, because there's safety issues everywhere, right? But you literally can walk up and down the street 2, 3, 8 o'clock in the morning. I've done it in Chiang Mai. I've done it in I've done it in Phuket. I've done it in so many different places. I think a weekend ago, I was out till 1 a.m. Jumped on a motorbike. In Vietnam, I'd be out till 4 or 5 in the morning, because that's just what we did. It was just so much fun. And I would sometimes walk 45 minutes home, because I was like, I prefer to walk home because I could walk along the beach, and the beach would be full at like 11, 12, not 3 a.m. in the morning. But you understand what I'm saying? And so there is an element of being outside of the United States for Black people. I am solely speaking about Black people, because we literally carry epigenetic trauma from things that have been put in place that y'all call protection. We cannot call protection unless you prove it to us. But basic things, the feeling of comfort and feeling of ease, and is somebody watching me? Is somebody this? I'm minding my own business, like just being left alone. When we travel, y'all, I'm telling you, the stress that you think you're carrying because of finances, or the stress that you think you're carrying because, of all these other elements that are like weighing on you, you go to another place, especially if you're going long term. And it's almost like you're waiting for it. Like, oh boy. And yes, you'll go in places and you'll walk in the touristy stores and people start following you around. They do that with everybody. It's annoying. So I don't go in them, because even though I know they do it to everybody, I hate it. You can carry my basket. Like if I know I need to get some stuff, I'll be like, here, you can carry my basket. And they will. It's like going to the airport in an Asian country and you go and you pick up things, they take them out of your hand and go put them on the counter. And it's so that you can buy more. They are trying to be helpful. They're not doing what the ones in the US, they're not doing what the child dude did to Cyrus, his wife, or whoever the hell that was in that video. It's a whole different mentality. Some places, yes, I ain't speaking for every place. I'm going to tell you though, if you talk to 10 people who live in Asia or have been in Asia longer than a vacation, and even if they just came for a vacation, I would bet money. I would bet money that if you ask 10 people, 8.5, 9 of them are going to say it was fantastic. When I walk out of my building, and y'all, I'm on a house sit right now, so this ain't even my apartment. I'm in a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath condo that I have been coming to. This is probably my 6th sit, and I have maybe 2 or 3 more that I'll be doing through the month of August for this particular person. And I just come back and say, hey, do you need a sitter? Because she normally travels in the summertime. And I have a free place to stay. But anyway, they know me because I'm here all the time, right? And so I go down, and every day it's the bowing, sawadee ka. They say sawadee cup because it's usually a guy working security. When I come in, they're very gracious. When I go down to the front desk, I dropped the key down the elevator shaft, and he was just like, here, just take it. I'll pay for it. He was like, no, don't worry. Listen, you go to a restaurant. I mean, like, I think a part of me, like my energy and my excitement when I talk about this stuff, because I know people are just like, I didn't have the same experience, Ali, and I this and that. I'm gonna tell you, sometimes it's who you are too, because I go to places sometimes and I'm like, ew, and they'll be like, oh, I loved it, and I was like, I wasn't feeling it. And sometimes it's because my energy, I ain't feeling it, or it's because I see something that turns me off and I can't get over it, right? And so I do know that we carry, rightfully so, a lot of that energy that was forced upon us. We didn't ask for it. We didn't ask for these people to be put in our communities and then treat us like crap. And then it's the only stores that we can go to because we live in a food desert that was generated and created by the government. Man, we ain't asked for none of that. We didn't ask for any of it, right? And so what happens over time? You have these built up perceptions and ideals, and nobody goes to correct them, even though you know it's wrong. You know the perception is wrong. And our derived perception, is a response to how people were told to treat us who didn't even think. I wonder why they want us to treat them that way. Because you got citizenship, you got papers, you signed a contract, but nobody wants to talk about that, right? Those are the relations. Those are the things that are happening in the United States. And they're going to start happening in so many other places. We've seen it. It happens everywhere. Guys, we have to be aware of it, but also understand that is how one group survives. One group survives by creating havoc in all the other groups, right? What happens though when we get out, when we push through the border and we start walking around? I remember back in the day, it was one of those things where everything you do is a representation. And as a Black person, I've always been a representation. I was the only Black woman. And when I was in IT, literally 122 managers, and I was one of 2. And it was only another Black woman who was a manager in a company, an IT company. We had 122 managers. And our two offices, base offices, are in Arkansas. Y'all know which ones I'm talking about. I ain't even got to say nothing else. But make that make sense. Make that make sense. So even though everybody was cool on the front and smiled and all these things, and, you know, hey Ali and respect me, which I had to earn, all the way up, the dynamics, the makeup of the company told me something different. So I always had to hold that to the spine my entire tenure there, which was 19 years before I quit. And I quit because of race relations. Technically, something happened that I was just like, yeah, I'm over it. And God has helped me see ways to circumvent and live life a little bit differently, and figure life out a little bit differently. And the bottom line is if you're going to hustle, figure out how to hustle for yourself. Because 9 times out of 10, you hustling, you might be making that coin, because I was making 6 figures. You might be making that coin, but I'm going to tell you, y'all, it took me 2 years, over 2 years, to get to a point where I could even act like I was going to work again. My burnout didn't know it was, I was in burnout until I left the country and didn't leave the country. I went on vacation for 2 weeks and I've been gone ever since. I go back to the States maybe once a year because I have to for something. Now I'm getting to a point where I've weaned out a lot of the have to, where now it's simply because, okay, you know, visiting family, so, you know, things like that, right? And so I say all of that to give you a little bit of background about where I come from, but also kind of to share in my experience in Asia. And then I'm not just talking about a 7-day trip to Patong, Phuket, and Phi Phi Islands. No, I did that in 2019. My first time my first time to Thailand. Yeah, I did that, and that was my second trip. Oh, so 2017, I went to Bali that year. So Bali may have been my first Asian, and then in December I went to China. In 2017. Okay, China wasn't my first. Bali was my first. Because 2019, I went to Bali again. And then from Bali, I flew to Thailand because I'm like, y'all, it's like a 20-some hour flight to get over here. I'm not going to come to just the one country. And this is what I advise you on. Like, I will share things like that and kind of help you plan. So in planning around certain seasons too, because everybody will be like, oh, I'm going to come in our fall. Well, our fall in the United States is actually rainy season and most of the places over here. So you have to be aware of that, because then people are like, well, nobody told me and it was all rained out and we didn't get to do this, that, and the other, or what, you know, whatever, you know. So those are the things that we'll talk about if you do a consultation with me. And not just Asia, Europe, Africa, South America, the Americas in general. I've been around the world in little dips of places, and I've stayed in most places at least 3 months where I can, from Albania all the way to Colombia to Vietnam on this side, you know. So there's a lot that I can share with you guys, but the experience that I've garnered, the reality check, the aha moments, the wow. Like if every person, and I'm somewhat cynical and sarcastic too, because that's just my nature. So a lot of people don't get it, you know, when I say snarky things or whatever. But like every time somebody says something, or they're like, gosh, I want to go, but I'm afraid to go, or, you know, how they going to treat us and stuff, I'm going to tell you guys for the 50 millionth time, I'm going to say it as many times as I need to say it. Nobody treats us as bad as the US except the US. And yes, you're going to go places and you're going to feel awkward, because the assumption is you've been told they hate you. The assumption is you've been told that they think that you're not intelligent. And a lot of times you'll be doing stuff and people are looking at you like, how did you get here? Well, how did you get here and you have that? Yes, and that is exactly how they're looking at us. You could say what you want to say. At 54 years old, I know the difference. Trust me. Because people do not think that we are supposed to be here. People do not think that we were supposed to ever achieve what we've achieved over and over and over and over and over and over. Never. And yet we have. And so what I literally express as much and as often back in the day when I used to do live videos all the time and post a lot on YouTube was, y'all, please just come, just get on the plane. I don't care if it's to Belize. Just go somewhere. Go somewhere outside of, even in Mexico. I feel like Mexico is harder than Asia. Mexico is great. Once I discovered Mexico outside of Cancun, because that's all we know, I'll just go to Cancun. And I got tired. I was like, yeah, I ain't going. I went to Tulum. And then I was like, and that was during COVID. And I was like, what? And then I ended up going to Bacalar, Chetumal, Mahahual. What the hell is that? Right? Who knew? Listen, I learned the people that we just embraced and broke bread with. Y'all, I tell people, just get up if you can. Because everybody can't. I'm not talking to you, Dan. This is my snarky coming out. If the shoe ain't in your closet, it's not viable, then I'm not talking to you. But if you have a desire, then I'm talking to you to then put yourself in position. Start doing what you need to do. Sacrifice. The reason I'm here is because I sacrificed. I was making good money, but I literally saved 50% of my income. And I had 2 houses with no degree in IT. I don't tell very many people, but those who know me know. Okay? If you want to do it, I tell people all the time, if you are hustling and fighting and doing all this, and at the end of the day, you come home and you ain't done nothing for yourself, you got to change something. You have to change something so that you can experience this, because it may not, because you even hear people saying, why you go to Europe? I don't like people over in Europe. They don't want, because I'm going to tell you, and things happen. Yes, we go to places and things happen, but 20 million times out of 10, it is some of the best experience. Especially as a Black woman, the way that people treat us, the way that people kind of like glorify us. Not everywhere, because there's somebody that's not going to hear me saying not everywhere that's going to jump on here and go, but yeah, my experience. I know. And I can even tell y'all some of my experiences of getting called the N-word in a place that I actually love to go to. But I'm not going to let that stop me from going. Because I still have yet to feel the angst that I feel when I fly into the United States and start watching my back. Just the energy that comes over me, the pain. As soon as I'm there, I'm like, I need a massage. I can't wait to leave to get my nails done. Because I don't want to support certain businesses. But when I'm in Asia, I support nothing but Asia. There's some Black businesses out here too that I support. But it's so different. And I just want to stress how different it is, because the mentality here is not the mentality that was bestowed, created, generated in the United States to make us angry, to have us fighting. And unfortunately, we know this. We don't want to fight other people, but we will if we must. It is for them to realize the positions that they were put in to make our lives miserable, instead of them. And I'm talking about everybody, not just Asians. I'm talking about the Hispanic community who also got kicked out of their land. Instead of us coming together, which we did at one point, but there are so many that are there. Cubans. I mean, all these people who are sitting in the United States. Why is the United States so just ugly, so nasty? Why are the people that way? Ain't nobody sat down and just simply said, why do we hate these people? Let's talk about white people. who walk around and go, we bought our farm. How'd you buy the farm? How'd you get the first 20 acres? And in some instances, whose land was it before? The 100 and something communities that were destroyed, Black communities that were destroyed, and the banks were that they never allowed them to get their money out. We're talking about worth billions today. And you're going to act like your success has nothing to do with all the crap that was put in place to keep people who are insignificant and inferior down. And if we're so inferior, whatever, inferior, if we're so inferior, why is there such a push to make sure that we do not rise to the top, and then we still rise? And we love it. Y'all, was not supposed to be a political video, but it was necessary. It was necessary for me to dip my toe in the pond, because I have been in different places around the world and I've seen it from different perspectives. You guys, I literally spent 27 years of my life never speaking about these things, because I was in corporate America. You know, it's the culture to not talk about. Don't talk about your income. Don't talk about politics. And you sitting next to a person who literally would spit on you simply because I'm not supposed to be competing with you. They said I would never have to compete with you. I don't care, because guess what? I've made it to a place where I always wanted to be. And I have figured out how to experience happiness for me, which may not be, I'm not at the glorious place. Like, I wish I was at the glorious place. I wish, right? And I'm not at that glorious, but I'm in a space where when I travel the world, I get to see it in its realness, its trueness, not this made up space that was created to put us in this bubble, this crappy hole. It's not even a bubble. It's a crappy hole that we got to dig ourselves out of all the time. Why? When people say all the time, well, anywhere you go is going to be the same. But if you've got 10 years of life, or, you know, you're working and, you know, you've never really gotten out, never really experienced, don't you want to at least say that you've experienced like the real world at least once as an adult, where you can make a choice and do what you want to do, live the way you want to live, whatever your means may be? Like, in my opinion, I'm just like, if I have the option, why would I stay in a space where just naturally I'm tense? I'm naturally always mentally fighting the possibility that I'm gonna have to fight. And by fight, I don't mean necessarily throwing bows, although I got a good super suplex. I'm just playing, but I'm so serious. I don't mean that. I just mean mentally the gymnastics that I've had to do my entire life. If I can circumvent that, if there is an option for me to live life in a space of peace, and by peace is moving around, exploring, being exposed to different cultures. And I was saying a minute ago before I got off track of being the spokesperson, you know, like, oh, you know, you're the person when they see you in these positions and stuff, they're looking like you speak for like all Black people, specifically all Black women and all this and that and the other. So I always had to keep that in the back of my mind, right? And even now I'm here and I feel like there's a representation. Representation matters, right? But y'all, like I take it on as like a badge now. Like it's a badge of honor because it's for me. It's for my people. It's for my family. To show the rest of the world this crap that you all were not even educated enough to fight and say this cannot be true. Like, let me just do one little history lesson. Knowing that people literally don't do the work to dismantle this stuff, but putting ourselves in positions where now I am amongst you. I am walking amongst you every day. And you're just like, oh, wait, they're like normal people. And I've had people say things like that to a certain point. And I had to chuckle and go, what'd you think? Hanging from a tree? I do that though. I do like to hang upside down because it relieves stress. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, to know that my walk, my experience, my exposure is not just for what I receive, but also how other people then can say, wow, we've been exposed to, maybe this isn't entirely accurate, because you guys, it may not, all this crap that's going on may not is not going to change with this generation. It's going to take a couple actually seeing that maybe everything that they were told is not necessarily true. Okay, I got to read some comments. Let me see. Bama, I'm about to delete you because guess what? You full of shit. When you say dumb stuff to me, I just delete you. Oh, it looks like Sandra wants to be deleted too. Hold on. Frank, you're ignorant. But you know what? It's okay. Because you can be. You can be. Sandra, watch this. Watch this. Yeah. And yet we still rise. No one. But there's a system that has been set out to make us not discuss and talk about the things that are used against us. And that was probably the greatest thing I did when I left corporate America. The traditional setting of corporate America, sitting in an office and that kind of thing, was realizing that because we don't talk about things, because we don't express, we don't get to say what we feel or what is happening, that people don't get a true experience from you. So they derive your culture, they derive your demeanor based on what they feel. Oh my God, this makes me feel a certain way, so they must be this way, without ever speaking or hearing this person talk about what it is that they feel and believe. And so now I openly speak about it. Now I openly talk about it. Really with as unapologetically as possible. And there are some instances where, you dial things back and stuff like that. But then there's other instances where, what age were you when this happened? Being happy with yourself. I think I've been happy with myself all my life. But when did I leave corporate America? 2020. During COVID. When did I decide to start traveling? 2020. Like I had been traveling, but when did I decide to go on a venture? It was during 2020, during COVID. I literally got up and went to Mexico. I was like, because I traveled, and then to be told that I can't go nowhere. And then I went to Africa for a year. Say less. I only want to give our youth that opportunity. Yes, our youth needed and in order to give it to our youth, we have to be able to offer them some experience. Like, because these kids nowadays is like, yeah. But the reason we don't want to work is because we looked at what it did to you. Like, I laugh sometimes when we be trying to get these kids to get up and do certain things, and they're looking at you, well, why the hell would I do that? Why would I bust my butt? And you literally have nothing. We still live in a certain area. We still, we may have good things, but even wealthy people still walk around and got to watch their back. I'm talking about wealthy Black people still got to walk around and watch their back. But why? Most of us have not been handpicked. The people who are the wealthiest are usually handpicked. So most of us are going to be, middle class or somewhere around there. If your dollar could stretch, I'll go check out my videos where I talk about it, like where you could live and different things like that for, pennies to the US dollar. And mean to say that to be derogatory to the communities that we live in. But this is why. This has been happening long before Black people decided to get up and move somewhere, or just Americans in general. People try to say negative things, but go to Africa. Africa is inhabited by Europeans. Stop telling me about people. You go to a place and it changes the. What do y'all think Mexico is filled with? What do you think Costa Rica is filled with? It ain't Black people. Okay. Snarky. Because sometimes you gotta be snarky in order for people to like understand that there's always somebody telling someone who looks like me what I shouldn't do, or trying to discourage me or make me feel uncomfortable about something. But people have been doing it for years. There's a reason why. The only way we could get to Africa was if we did a missionary trip. A missionary trip? Man, don't get me started. We're calling out racism in 22. Yes, we are. Join the Financial Literacy Network. Ooh, what's that? I'm gonna follow your page. See if do you have a link to it. These people aren't being racist; they are being themselves. Well, you can call it what you want to call it. I decide that whether or not I wanna live with it or deal with it or not. Support Malcolm. Supporting Malcolm is saying a whole big the opposite coin of saying you support MLK. Thank you so much for the compliment. When you were born, you didn't have a choice on your race and color and ethnicity. So to racism means you're not meant to. So to racism means you're not mentally free. So to Ray, I don't know what that means, but no, I was not handpicked. But guess what? If I had a choice to come back, I'd come back Black. Blacker, blackety black. Give me dark melanin. Yes, I love being Black. Everything that is in our skin, in our DNA, I'd be Black any day. Because still we rise. Say what you want to say. I ain't talking about you in particular. I'm just saying in general. What about Carl? I blame Martin Luther King, got us mixed up and didn't get us paid first. Listen, I was just having a whole conversation about that. I was like, oh, so I think there was a discrepancy in what his purpose was. We went in fighting for equality. We don't got to live with you. I mean, and let me tell you, I'm going to keep it real, y'all, because this is the other thing. Like, people are like, well, how can you be in Asia and you see what's happening? Because they're different, right? People ask you, how can you have Caucasian friends? Listen, I got like white friends all over the place. Like when I go to Albania, it's like number white people there. I mean, I got some Black friends that are there as well, but I literally know, and I'll just call them white. I know people are like, yeah, but we're not white, we're Albanian, because it's a social construct. I get all that. Like, you ain't got to explain it, but just for general conversation terms, they ain't Black, right? And so when I go to Europe, like the people that I meet, and I do have like in my mind, like you at least have to understand the system and not say, well, I don't really talk about it. If you say that, we don't even need to have drinks. We don't need to shoot pool. We don't need to walk around the track. None of that. Like, I'm at a point now where if you literally are saying, well, I really don't talk about that stuff because, it causes and you're not about like at least being present in what's happening right now. What we got to talk about? What do we have to talk about? Why do we even need to be in the same space? That's polar energies. No, thank you. No, thank you. I blame. So I think what happened with that is we went in saying, listen, we're paying taxes. We got communities that we built up on our own. Y'all told us to leave you alone and go find our own spaces. We bought land. We had our own things. They were flooded, bombed. Everybody talks about Timothy McVeigh and all that. Do you know the United States bombed 2 Black city or communities before Timothy McVeigh came along, before 9/11 came along and they did it? Everybody's like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. What do you mean? What do you mean? That just further lets me know that you are completely oblivious by choice to what our history is. Y'all, this country, this land that we know, that we've been tracking, has been here for 400 years, that we've known about. I mean, the land has been here because People were indigenous before this. And some of us were already here, right? But the last 250 years, at the very least, we know what we've done as a country. Not just here. The United States has been at war 90% of the time, 80% of the time. You just don't know it because we call it the Vietnam War. Why were we in Vietnam? Why did we bomb Laos? Like, to this day, if you go there, there's warheads still there. What did they do to us? Come on now. Come on. We're smarter than that. And the only reason why I'm very particular about even being in spaces where people are like, yeah, I don't get into that. Because that energy is the energy that will have me out here and we ain't got each other's back. No, we can't be friends. We can't be associates. If it's just business and I'm popping in buying something, you have a store, yeah, we may never talk. But if we like breaking bread and we're on a friendship basis and you speak English, yeah, no. I had to take a stand. Before, I could never really do that openly, because when you're in the corporate space, like when I came up in the 90s, single parent, all that kind of stuff, you got to tread lightly, you don't want to lose nothing, all this stuff. But in the back of my mind, I was like, when the opportunity arises, I'm joining the movement. And my movement isn't necessarily, on the front lines. I'm out here picketing because I think we can do so much more than putting ourselves in physical harm. Y'all, your W-2 pays Congress. Go ask for your W-4 and go exempt. What that means is it just stops funding the system for the entire year. Yeah, you still pay your taxes at the end of the year. That's what you want to do. Pay your taxes in April. I'm not telling you not to pay your taxes. I still file my taxes because I don't want to have no issues when I'm over here trying to go anywhere else in the world because they didn't flag my passport. I want to be able to be mobile. But you can set it up where you do not pay taxes throughout the year, which destabilizes. Oh, because we got to suffer a little bit, y'all. We got to suffer a little bit. And the thing about Martin, let me just go back. Y'all know when we did the bus boycott, we had our own bus line. I'll let you Google that on your own. We had our own bus line. We didn't need. Okay. I'm deleting all the people who are not on the same page. Somebody said jet black, and you know this? Listen. Shoot. Good morning, my good people. For those of you who understand where I am in my plight, any conversation I'm having does not exclude anyone of any coloring or anything like that. It excludes people of a lower IQ and mentality. So you could be pink, and if you understand the plight that we're in for us, like I at least have to come for me. Like, you got to at least stand for pink people. You have to. You got to stand for, if you green, you got to stand for green people, right? It's no different. It's no different. But with that being said, typically when you stand in understanding and empathy, then you have space for everybody else. And until people start doing that collectively as a whole, we can't stand in here trying to keep spaces open because we hope that eventually, oh my gosh, well, the next fight they're going to see. Why don't we have an anti-lynching law? Because they're still lynching. Two things: change your W-2s, using a W-4, go get a gun, and get life insurance policy. All Black people, just all you got to do. Let's just do that. Let's just do that, please. Oh my gosh. All right. We have left a state of war since 1619. And that's one of the things. Like, I need you guys to understand that this stuff didn't start in World War II. The United States has been, somebody's coming in my door. The United States has been doing this since its inception. And we were not the United States. We were the 13 colonies at some point in time. And then from that, becoming the United States. But the people who came over and landed on the shores, they say, whatever the names of the boats were, they claim. I think the people walked over because it was connect. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation for another day. Everybody ain't ready for that. But we've left a state of destruction everywhere. What do y'all think Independence Day is about? The movie, the first one. When they talk about aliens. What do you think that's about? What y'all think Skynet is about? Listen, I love Vietnam. I love Vietnam. I agree, JC. I'm saying that we have done as a whole, horrible. We have caused destruction everywhere. And I wish people would understand it, which is why I would like for us to travel more. And my focus is on my Black brothers and sisters, because we are the ones who get the most strife. And why is it? It doesn't have anything to do with action. It's because you see me before I get there. You see me walking up. My skin identifies me. I don't want it to. I want what I want. Somebody to automatically see me. And if you're not treating me with grace and like a queen, of course I don't want you to treat me funny because of my skin color, but it announces me. And whatever perceived notion you already have is what comes to the forefront. And my behavior has to prove your notion wrong. Even if your notion says I'm gonna bring it out in her. So if I respond in kind, then I'm the problem. Be careful, I gotta go tooth, I'll pop in. Bye. Look, bye. Bye, bye, baby. Listen, you guys, there is so much more happening in the world that many of us, especially if you've never left the United States, we typically cannot fathom. We can't even begin to understand. And when you go to different countries and like I look at, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to end with this. When we go to different places, and this is one of the reasons why I push traveling so much. People are like, why would I go and spend my money over there? This is why we haven't spent our money. This is why we don't know any better. Y'all know how much we pay in taxes. You know how much you pay in taxes every year to have nothing. You're a bare minimum. And then you go to these third world countries that literally take every dollar, and every single corner is made up for the people to relax and enjoy. Why don't we have that? Why don't we have infrastructure? Why don't we have fast trains? Why don't we have more interim flights? Why is everything so expensive? It's not because we can't. It's because the system is set up to award and create wealth in the pockets and the groups that they want to create it in. But you can't have all of and the presumption is we can't have all of that and have automobile companies that are breaking records, and we can't have flights that are inexpensive and break records. How come you can't? Europe has it. Europe's had fast trains for decades. Why not? China has it for decades. transportation, just more than Greyhound and Flix bus, mega bus, whatever we call it. Ecuador has it. Colombia has it. Africa has it. They might need some new buses, but they're coach buses. $9, $10, $11 to go over the border to another country. Why don't we have it? You think it's because of a group of people. It's because there's no more free labor, which is what they're trying to create now by creating angst and filling up the prisons that somebody profits from. Building up nest eggs of money, potential money from contracts and stuff like that. But yeah, if you cared about your people, you would make spaces more livable. How in the United States do we have major cities that don't have clean running water? How is that possible? How is that possible? You got clean running water for AI plant, and I use AI. I just started using it, but I use it. I mean, I shouldn't say I just started using it. We've all been using it to some extent since MapQuest was out. Yeah, I remember MapQuest. We've all been using it. Like little bits and things dwindled in here every time you did a search for something. That's AI. It's little tidbits. It's a knowledge base. It's building. The knowledge base is building. That's what I did in IT, y'all. It's in IT for 27 years. So there's a whole lot that's happening. What if you could take what you've learned and then go and experience life somewhere else on the globe? Or a vacation, whatever. Just experience something different, just for a short period of time. Not under the guise of being a Westerner with, all this money coming to a place, spending your coin, but nestling and kind of sitting in a space to be exposed, truly exposed to their culture and just receive it. What if you could do that? And then also know what you know. Those are the kind of people I want to be around. Those are the kind of people I want to be around. Y'all, if y'all on my thing arguing about the blurple, blue and red, we're not doing that because y'all have to understand that's the fight they want y'all to keep having. Maybe why my favorite color is purple. Yeah, I am full of messages today. Anyway, the point of this video was the Asian and the relations between and the Black community and my experience being a person who lives in Asia. And I talked about a number of different things. I've opened up this door to explain why we can have that dichotomy. We got system, that situation over there, and then be living in a place where we're even trying to encourage other people who look like me to come to a space. And you're like, yeah, but they don't like us. I'm gonna tell you, that's just not everywhere. If you go, it's just not. If you want to know more about it, hit me up, sign up for a consultation, fill out my intake form. Let's see where you are at first before we exchange any coin, or take my travel course. Decide if you're ready, if this is something that you want to do. $49. Just see if that's something that you want to do. And then let's go from there, right? Because you won't know until you go. All right, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. Y'all know the drill, toodles and noodles, peace and hair grease. Oh, and before I go, why don't I just show you guys a little bit of the city? As you guys know, I told you I'm house sitting. I'm a house sitter. So sometimes I rent my own place and sometimes I house sit. But it rained a little bit this morning. This is the city. Our SkyTrain goes right along here. If I sit here for another couple minutes, there's probably one that's going to come by. There's a station there. There's a station there. There's a station there. There. Ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh. All right, y'all. It's Bangkok. All right, y'all. So there's another piece of hair,